Today on Open Minds UFO Report, UFO videos released by the Chilean government, orbs spotted at Florida's Spacewalk of Fame, a former pilot for President Obama talks to Fox News about his UFO sighting, the Roswell Slides case is cracked, and UFO researchers in the movies. Your Open Minds UFO Report starts now. Hello and welcome to the first Open Minds UFO Report. My name's Alejandro Rojas. UFO videos were recently released by the Chilean government. An enhanced version of the best part of the videos was provided exclusively to journalist Leslie Kane. She posted the video in a recent blog for the Huffington Post where she outlined the details of the case and the investigation. The videos were captured at the Air Force War Academy in Santiago, Chile in 2012. After years of careful analysis, a scientific board has declared the UFO event an anomalous luminous phenomena of unknown origin. The investigation of the UFO incident was conducted by the Committee of Studies of Anomalous Aerial Phenomena, also known as CFAA. They are the Chilean government's official organization for the study of unknown aerial phenomena. CFAA is a committee within the Department of Civil Aeronautics, Chile's equivalent to the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. They also work in cooperation with the Chilean military and other governmental agencies. The incident took place at about 7:45 p.m. on September 3, 2012. The witnesses were a paramedic, an emergency medical technician, and a sergeant. The sergeant was responsible for the security of the academy and was assisting the other two in the refueling of their ambulance when all of them spotted a group of 5 lights above the nearby Andes Mountains. The lights were in a horizontal line moving towards the academy. Kane writes that the sergeant, a 27-year Air Force veteran, first thought the lights might be helicopters. However, they made no sound. He soon realized they were something much more mysterious. The sergeant then ran towards the main gate and shouted for the guard on duty. Meanwhile, the paramedic and the EMT took out their phones and began shooting video. As the men watched the lights, they transformed from a straight line to a triangle, then a circle. Soon after, the lights moved back over the mountains and out of view. The entire event only took a few minutes, and the cell phone cameras were recording the event the entire time, although not much can be seen in the videos. Besides the 5 lights witnessed by all 3 men, the sergeant said he had witnessed an additional object. The sergeant said, "I saw an oval shape like a submarine. The upper part had windows with lights coming out and was shaped like a submarine with a dome or something like it." CFAA conducted a thorough investigation of the incident, which included psychologists, meteorologists, radar experts, and other scientists. In the end, Kane writes, the CFAA Scientific Committee concluded by consensus that this was an anomalous luminous phenomena of unknown origin. Normally, UFOs are spotted in the sky. However, the U.S. Spacewalk of Fame Museum in Titusville, Florida, caught a UFO on video inside of the museum on their surveillance camera. A mysterious orb was caught flying around on 2 separate occasions in a room full of artifacts from the Mercury and Gemini space programs. As recently as May 15th, an orb was caught flying through the room, moving out of the frame of the camera and then coming back into view. Charlie Mars, the president of the museum, told WKMG News, "We can't explain it, nor can the person who put in the system for us." Some of the staff of the museum believe that the object could be floating dust balls. However, Mars says both times the orbs were caught on video, the lights and the air conditioners were off. He has another idea. Mars told WKMG, "There were many items in here that were brought in by people who are no longer with us. They could be coming back to check on it." Having unexplained phenomena occurring in the building doesn't scare Mars, he welcomes it. Mars says, "We love having something come in that is unexplainable, and it gives us a chance to interchange with each other and talk about what it would possibly be." Last month, a pilot who flew for President Obama during his 2008 campaign wrote an article about an incredible UFO sighting he had in 1989. Recently, he spoke to Clayton Morris on Fox News' Fox and Friends about his UFO experience. In his article last month for the New York Daily News, pilot Andy Danziger says that many pilots have shared UFO stories with him. He claims, Virtually all pilots believe in UFOs. The first thing Morris wanted to know was why pilots don't talk about their UFO sightings. Danziger told Morris that there was no formal policy to not speak about UFO sightings at his airline or anyone he has ever worked for, but that there was an unwritten rule of sorts. Danziger explained, "We were young, we were new in our careers, and the way people tend to be ridiculed about all of this, you just kind of kept quiet." As for his UFO encounter, Danziger says it was unbelievable. His sighting consisted of he and his captain spotting a massive white disc in the night sky pacing their aircraft. They knew the object was not the moon, as they could see the moon on the opposite side of the cockpit. Soon after, the object turned into a giant red ball. Morris also has an interest in the UFO topic. He used to co-host a podcast called The Paranormal Report with Jim Harold, host of the Paranormal Podcast. Morris says he often asks pilots off the air whether they have had UFO sightings. He says they often admit that they have had UFO sightings, but that they keep it quiet. Morris asked Danziger, "Why is that? Is it fear of losing their job?" Danziger replied, "I don't know. You don't want to be brandished as being crazy. That was one of our concerns before we actually reported it to the air traffic control. We discussed it amongst each other. Is this something that is going to jeopardize our career? The government seems to discount every single report that ever seems to come out. The news media, at least in the past, tends to ridicule every UFO report, so, you know, that was all going on really big back in the 1980s. The UFO world has been abuzz with the alleged discovery of slides from around 1947 that researchers suspected depicted an alien body from the famous alleged Roswell UFO crash. However, within hours of the release of the images, independent researchers were able to decipher a blurry placard in the image, and according to the placard, the body is a mummified boy, not an alien. On May 6, 2015, we wrote a story about the unveiling of the pictures. It was done with great fanfare at a large auditorium in Mexico City. The event was hosted by Jaime Maussan, a Mexican UFO researcher and journalist known for his dramatic style. Most of the event was in Spanish, and attendees had to buy tickets to attend. For $20, viewers were also able to view the event on a live internet video stream. There was also some confusion about the slides themselves. It was advertised that there were 2 slides. However, only one was discussed. Most thought that the second slide was not presented. However, as we noted in an update in our story, the second slide was displayed at the end, but this fact was not noted in the presentation. Amidst the confusion, Maussan posted the second image to his Twitter account. However, the image was less clear than the first, and the placard could only be partially seen. The owner of the slides, Adam Dew, promised to post a higher resolution image of the second slide. Meanwhile, enterprising UFO researchers got to work. Kind of like a crowdsourcing effort, people began looking for similar mummified bodies, and others got to work trying to de-blur low-resolution images of the placard. Using a tool called Smart Deblur, members of a group calling themselves the Roswell Slides Research Group began to be able to decipher some of the words on the placard. The Roswell Slides Research Group says they began working with a higher quality image than had been released publicly that they had received from an inside source. However, eventually Dew himself released the same photo. What clearly became visible was the title line on the placard. It reads, "Mummified Body of 2-Year-Old Boy," all in capital letters. It took a lot of work to decipher the rest of the words, but the group now believes that the rest of the slide reads, "At the time of the burial, the body was clothed in a slip-over cotton shirt. Burial wrappings consisted of 3 small blankets." The last line reads, "Loaned by Mr. S.L. Palmer, San Francisco, California." More work has been done to discover that S.L. Palmer had recovered the mummified body from an Anasazi Indian ruin site in Arizona called Montezuma's Castle. No one is sure where the body is now, but it was most likely reburied. According to a Rocky Mountain news story that was republished in the Deseret News, thousands of remains were returned to the descendants of the Anasazi in 1998, including those in the custody of the National Park Service. The remains were then reburied. Musan and Du are still holding on to the possibility that the slides may depict an alien. However, several researchers involved with the slides have conceded that the placard must be correct. Finally, a new movie is out about Area 51, and it is a found footage film created by Oren Peli, the man behind the box office hit Paranormal Activity.
There's motion sensors, there's ammonia sensors, but we're gonna get around it.
These neomycin pills will mask our ammonia levels.
Thermal cameras all around the base pick up your body heat. So we're gonna pump Freon through the suit, and they'll mask our body temperature.
This movie is about some people who sneak into the secretive Area 51 and find a lot of creepy, scary stuff. Reviews are mixed on the film, but our guest reviewer Theron Moore liked it. In his review on OpenMinds.tv, Moore points out that there are some cameos by real-life UFO researchers. Glenn Campbell, Norio Hayakawa, and award-winning journalist George Knapp all have short appearances in the film. However, Hayakawa and Knapp were a bit surprised to hear this news. We reached out to them on Facebook. Hayakawa says, "I had never thought that Oren Peli would ever finish this movie which he started in 2009. I remember in 2010, Oren Peli contacted me and told me to come to Las Vegas for this thing, and I did my part. I never heard a thing after that as to how it was coming along until last week, LOL." Knapp was also surprised by the release of the movie and his inclusion. He told us, "Oren came to my house with the guy who plays the lead in the movie. We recorded an interview in my home office. Oren shot video of the actor as the actor was shooting and interviewing me at the same time. I told them I had an idea for the least secure way to get into the base, but I would not say it on camera. So they said they wanted to use that. Peli then went on to produce 2 or 3 sequels to Paranormal Activity, so I figured this project was dead. Very surprised to find that it is not only alive, but that I am in it." I want to go check out the movie just to see a few seconds of those guys. It's great that they were included in the movie. That's your Open Minds UFO report today. You can find these stories and more at OpenMinds.tv. We post fresh UFO news daily. You can also follow us on Twitter at OpenMindsTV, and you can find us on Facebook. Let us know if you enjoyed today's episode by liking the episode on YouTube and leaving us your comments in the section below. You can also download our podcast, Open Minds UFO Radio, on iTunes or at OpenMinds.tv/radio. Thanks again for joining us today. For OpenMinds.tv, I am Alejandro Rojas.